Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer. This video is very different and it's not part of my quest for England. It's not part of my landscape, heritage and nature, but it is very much part of me. A question I get asked a lot of the time is, how did you lose your eye? If you don't know, I have an artificial eye. This one is not a real eye. And in many of the videos you'll see that this eye is sometimes a little more closed than the other eye, my real eye, and sometimes you'll see this eye move more than the other eye. And I often get asked this, and I thought it was about time I addressed it. So if you're squeamish, I'm going to suggest you don't watch the video, because in this video I will take out my eye. So please don't get worried, it's not painful, but before we get to that I'm just going to tell you how it came about. So I used to be an entertainer and I used to juggle and unicycle, I used to eat fire, I lay on a bed of nails, occasionally I would walk on a slack rope, I would balance on a very large walking globe, I had a standing ladder and could balance on that. I did a lot of crazy things. I lost my eye due to none of those. When I was a performer, doing all of that sort of stuff, I used to wear contact lenses. Contact lenses were dailies, and I would put them in the morning, I would take them out at night, and I would dispose of those and get some new ones for the next day. I had a gig on the Isle of Wight. It was a gig I'd done many times before. I knew what I was doing, and on this particular occasion I was there for 4 days and I forgot to pack the dailies. I would have packed a set of 4, probably put an extra one in just in case. Well, turns out I forgot, so I had to use the same pair throughout those 4 days. And that's where my downfall was, because at the end of the day I didn't like keeping them in overnight. I would take them out, I would put them in a glass of water, wash them round and put them back in. As a result of that, I caught a bug, a tiny little amoeba bug called acanthamoeba keratitis it was called, a rather horrible bug that digs into the cornea. And once it's in the cornea, it starts to eat away at the eye. It's a very, very slow process. And at first I thought I just had a little bit of hay fever. Both eyes were sore, but it seems that my right eye combated it and killed it off, but my left eye didn't. But then it went into some sort of hibernation or a cyst. And for a while, about a month or so, nothing else happened, and I thought I'd got rid of it. I'd tried some drops and all of that. That must have put it into the cyst, and so it had gone. However, it came back, and towards the end of that year, that had been in the summer, and towards the end of that year the pain in the eye and the irritation came back. Well, I went to the hospital to see if I had an infection. And they looked at me and they didn't quite know at first, and so they gave me a few things to try. And eventually they discovered, oh yes, you've got this keratitis, it's been so long since I've had it, to try to remember the name of it, the acanthamoeba keratitis. Now, I may not be pronouncing that 100% correctly, but that's how I learnt it. And so they gave me a drop to get rid of it, chlorhexidine. Now this, as the name suggests, is a chloride based product. In other words, it's a bleach, but it's a very, very, very watered down bleach. And the thing about the amoeba was that the bleach would kill the amoeba, but it would also damage the eye. So you had to have a very, very light amount so that the eye wasn't damaged, but it was sufficient to get rid of the amoeba. So I started out on those drops and kept putting them in. And I was assured that, you know, in a few weeks' time it would all clear up and everything would be fine. Well, I must be a brilliant host, because that's not what happened. And slowly and surely this got worse and worse. It resulted in the end with me having my whole eye go grey as the bug started to eat away at the cornea. And the only option was, after numerous visits to Moorfield Eye Hospital over a protracted 4-year period, was to start having cornea transplants. At first I had a biopsy to see if they could take away as much of the acanthamoeba as possible. That didn't work because it came back. So they gave me a cornea transplant. That's living tissue from a deceased person. So they had a cornea and it had to be right for me, and they got one and they stitch it into your eye, and they stitched it into my eye, and I go into an anaesthetic. I was there in the morning and out in the afternoon with an eye patch. And then at some point you go back and you have the stitches taken out. It's not a great process. Mine wasn't great at all, because they put the cornea, the transplanted cornea on, and within a couple of days the stitches already started to come out and the cornea started to peel off. That was, to say the least, excruciating. And I had to rush up to the hospital and have that fixed. So I had a second cornea put on, again another deceased person's donated cornea. That went on and was much better, but within weeks I found that the amoeba was still there, and it had got into the new cornea and was eating that. That, as you can imagine, was equally painful. And finally I had a third one, 3 times lucky. The same thing happened. Each time they are taking a little bit more of my existing cornea before they replace. And they got to the point where they couldn't take any more out. And they said, if it comes back, that's basically all we can do. Well, I found that the acanthamoeba keratitis came back and infected the eye again. I was in a lot of pain and there was very little I could do. And then I got, I think, now I may be wrong, it's been a while, sclerosis of the eye. Now it may not be the right terminology, and I was in excruciating pain for about 2 months. The whole eye went bright red and I was in severe pain. Now all the time that I had this bug, the eye would not tolerate light. And the second, and my good eye sort of was in sympathy with that, and it would also not tolerate light. And so I had to live like a hermit for a lot of the time, under with the curtains closed, almost like living under a stone. I was still bringing up the children on my own, and life was very, very tough, and it was very, very painful. Finally, with this last problem, I asked them what the next option was, and they said, well, we can carry on, we think we can cure it. And they introduced me to a chap who they had cured, and it had been a long 7 years, and his eye looked weird, and he still didn't have any vision to speak of in that eye. The other option was to have the eye removed. And I was out of work. I had been out of work. I was working a bit. I was doing corporate videos at that point with a patch on, and tolerating the pain as much as I could, because I had to earn some money, but I couldn't do the entertainment, and I had to stop because I couldn't juggle, or I couldn't perform in front of people because I looked incredibly ugly with this grey alien-like eye. So I said, remove the eye. That was the only other option. Give me a prosthesis. And that's what happened. I went into hospital. They took the eye out. They, in exchange, put in a ball like a golf ball but with lots of holes, in which they wrap round the muscles of my eye. And then I can't remember, for 6 weeks I think I had an eye patch over that whilst that healed. And after that they gave me a false eye, which was like a glorified contact lens, I suppose. And another 6 weeks went past, and then I went in for a prosthesis fitting, and they took a mould of the muscle. They took out the contact lens, they did a mould of the muscle on the inside of the eye, which is a process which it's a bit like having your teeth. You know when you have your teeth done and they take a mould? Similar sort of thing. And they do that, and then they have the shape of the inside of the eye. So when you think of a prosthesis eye or a fake eye, people often think that it is a big round ball that sits in your head. Well, it's not at all. The idea of taking the mould is, imagine that's the muscles on the inside of the eye, under the lid. They take that so that when they make the prosthesis, the underneath of the prosthesis will sit on that perfectly, and the muscle will drag the eye, or the prosthetic eye, left and right a little bit. And that helps to give it the sense that it's real, so that people don't notice it too much. And so I then had to go back, have a photograph of this eye, from which they used as a template to hand draw or hand paint on the prosthesis once they'd got that fitted properly. And I then had a unique eye. Now, it looks like a shell. You find a shell on the beach, it looks exactly like a shell, or a very large oversized contact lens. So what I propose to do now is to show you, and if you're squeamish, I suggest, and it's not your thing, then I suggest you don't look, because it can look grim and painful, but it isn't. The pain of those days has gone, and that's why I've got this very strange and slightly dramatic lighting here, because I want you to be able to see, but I want to be able to do it all in one simple take, so it's not complicated. Sorry about any erroneous noises in and around. So I should take my glasses off. I can't see once I take my glasses off, so I am assuming that you can see me, and I know I look very different without my glasses. So that's my real eye. I'm going to wet this, and this is my fake eye, which I can touch. Okay? And I'm just going to get a little closer. So I'm going to I've washed my hands. I'm going to take my eye out, and I shall put it back in again. So I just pull that down like this. It's like taking out a contact lens. And there it is. And this is the prosthesis. Now I'm going to put my glasses back on so I can actually see what I'm doing. But I no longer have an eye in there. And that, I don't know if it'll focus on that. Let's just see if it will. This is the fake eye. And sorry, I'm just trying to keep it to focus on it. And it is just literally a little shell. Okay, so I can put that back in again. So that's what I look like without the eye in there. So I'm just trying to put my glasses in my pocket. Actually, I'm going to put them, fumbling here, just put them there. So now, with a little bit of saliva to keep it wet, I'm going to take that and put it back in. And there it is, back in. I have felt nothing really, and there I am. So that's me, the bald explorer, not any bald but with a fake eye, and that's the story. I hope that's been of some interest to you, and it answers all those questions. And if you are somebody who's come to this and found this video purely because you've been looking for prosthetic eyes, prostheses, and you may be having that operation, then please don't feel scared about it. Especially the Moorfields people, they know exactly what they're doing. It's been terrific. I go up and have this polished regularly so that I have the sparkle in my eye. And to crack a very corny joke, it's the best thing that ever happened since having the eye. I would never wish to have had the complaint in the first place. And I can honestly say, I don't look back. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. Follow my Bald Explorer normal stuff, and I will be back to the normal videos next time. Bye for now. Bye-bye.